Good morning. Good morning. It's Wednesday, December 20th. We have first light. The sun's up about 10 minutes in the sky. I've been up for almost 2 hours now. I slept. I'm fairly well rested. And I had something profound to say last night to some assholes. Don't know who they are. Actually, they could have been friendlies. I shouldn't be, but anytime somebody interrupts me filming a video, I tend to react badly to that. Anyway, I woke up at 5:50 before my alarm at 6, and it was warm. It was actually, I think, warmer than, but even now they're saying it's like 48 degrees, and I'm not sure if I believe them. It was about 57 degrees when I woke up, and being in the fart sack, I was warm and toasty. And I guess what this video is really all about is loneliness. Something I talk about frequently. I don't have the loneliness gene. And I'm sitting there, I'm having my morning smoke, having a little bit of water because I keep myself dehydrated. I have to with the edema. I've really got my edema under control. I learned a long time ago you can't be like the average American who's just swilling stuff all day long. Can't do that when you have edema. You must dehydrate. And maybe I'll get back to the topic I was going to cover last night, but I got to be in the mood for some of this shit. This morning I'm in the mood to kind of gloat and also to show some sympathy for the devil once again. The fucker who I know was behind the ice pick in my neck. Somewhere, somehow, he said something to somebody, and I end up with an ice pick. Fucker didn't even know what he was doing, but for what is now the third morning in a row, there's Curtis Wyman, IBM top, what do you call them, testers, software testers. And you could tell he had been there right at 5 o'clock, parked at the first parking spot right near the patio and exit, not by the entrance, always the same place, high visibility. And around 5:50, they were packed inside because everybody's trying to get that first cup, before that coffee starts getting stale, because coffee gets stale within an hour. And he's sitting there and he's wearing the same. It was actually, I like that good heavy yarn Mexican cotton, pure cotton, wool sometimes too. And when I went by later, he's wearing shorts again, although it's warm enough for. It's just kind of abnormal to see a grown man wearing shorts this time of year. And I'm just sitting there in my fart sack watching this poor lonely bastard just trying to make some kind of, because like the day or so before he had managed to find some man that was probably close to 90 years old, listen to his bullshit for a little while. But the more I think about it, he's more the type to commit suicide from loneliness. I've tried repeatedly I've been close to suicide before. That's what I was going to talk about last night, but that was suicide from intense pain and no apparent relief except for some divine intervention. That's where I was going last night when some assholes rudely interrupted me. Don't know what they're up to, but actually, by the time I finally, rolled up my fart sack and put it in its bag and started mosey on down the hill and stuff like that, the little bit of crowd that had been in there from 5 a.m. to 6 were pretty much gone, and there was Curtis, his hair all tousled like he had been up all night working on some sort of problem for her. Because if y'all have missed it, Arvind Krishna, the head of IBM, pretty much wants to replace people like Curtis with a black man, purely for racist reasons, because he wants to have the proper mix of Asians. And funny, most of those Asians are Caucasian Asians, also known as Hindus. And but he wants 13% of his workforce to be black. And I've stated before that that's highly unlikely. It's just a improbability. They're less likely to go to college, and if they do, they usually take, from my experience, they usually take some easy to pass course like sociology or something like that, so they can get a government job with good benefits and not really have to work. And it's not like they're the only ones. I mean, white folks do it, Hispanic whites do it. A lot of people do it because government jobs are the way to go. You're almost better off if you can stand the tedium of working at the post office and shit, that's a great way to go. The pay, especially since your pension is based upon like your highest earning year. If you can stay with the post office for 30, 35 years like my sister did, she essentially retired a rich woman because she got to spend every penny of her money while her husband really took care of all the real expenses, household maintenance. Actually, he already owned the house and many others, and had a inheritance from his mom that's worth probably around 100 million in chinoiserie. And I remember looking at all that stuff when I was a kid. Oh, Ollie Doobie, I think her 6th out of 7 husbands. He built a whole wing onto his house just to display the few things that the I guess that was technically still the nationalist Chinese let her leave with after my brother-in-law was born in a Japanese concentration camp in China. Oh, it's going to be a lovely day here. This would be a great day, perfect temperature. I'm warm to have a joint. Let me check the eyes. I miss, during warm weather, I usually wash my face even at home or elsewhere, I usually wash my face many times a day to get out but no, the glaucoma's looking okay today. My focus is pretty good. But think about it. Curtis Wyman, who definitely has the loneliness gene, told me himself he hates going anywhere alone. But then again, I'm not really sure about that because he's got something wrong inside his head. He wouldn't allow me to be Jewish. He really wouldn't. That's part of the problem. I couldn't, I remember we were actually sitting in his driveway. We're discussing whether or not I'm moving in. And the subject came up about just the calendar kind of stuff, and I was going like, I fucking hate the what is it, the Gregorian or Julian? I think it's a Gregorian calendar, Julian calendar. All these messed up months and shit. Whereas we Jews have a perfect, 13, 28-day lunar months, which sure as hell helps us to keep track of when the ladies are going to be what the Jews call unclean, or when they're having their, and when to expect that PMS and stuff. Our calendar works a lot better on that shit. It's especially when you're in a community, women tend to sync up. All happens at the same time. But think about it. He really, although he said he had watched me for a couple of months, I don't really. And actually, I've been told by several people who don't want to have long meetings inside Starbucks, there's actually not much space inside of there. If you go there to have a meeting, it's not a secret meeting. It's nothing confidential. Usually the meetings that happen there are nothing more than just two people socializing. They have absolutely nothing to do with fucking business, other than one guy was in there clearly, who was from Chicago, trying to get money out of a religious group here that's financially much better off than they are. And I know which religious sect that is. He was totally out of place, and I'm sure he didn't get a fucking dime. But this morning, for all of you who have the loneliness gene, like Curtis Wyman, who actually, not in any kind of Christian way, no, not really, decided to hook up with and pal up. If I have to, I'll read off his last message to me was, hey, let's go hang out at, such and such as some kind of bar or nightclub or some shit like that. He really needed like a pal kind of thing. And I'm not like that. My father never had one of them broke back mountain buddies where he'd go running off and, fishing for a week and disappear from the family. No. My dad was always there. And that's the way a dad should be. And if you really love your wife and your children, you'll be there all the time. You're not going to run off with some, guy and fucking spend a week off fishing somewhere. It's maybe now in the modern deal where people don't have hardly any children and really don't have, they have the luxury of taking a week off and going fishing somewhere, or it's something they've dreamed of and invested in. Maybe okay. I won't be calling you a fucking gay loser, motherfucker, piece of shit, no good dad, but your children might. No, my dad was always there for. So let's have a little sympathy for the devil who probably led to the ice pick in the neck, because he's suffering. I could tell the way he had been kind of tearing and pulling at his hair this morning. He looked like shit. He's there pretending like he's working on, probably been up all night doing that, sorry. It's sad fucker. I mean, but then it calls it upon himself. It's, imagine the ego. His wife has provided him with a child. 2 children. Won't mention the daughter's name because, the best I know, she's stayed clear of most of this shit. But after a woman has gone through the damage and all the hormonal stuff, don't expect her to be the 16 or 18-year-old beauty that you married, Women can take quite a beating in the birth process, and especially if they're doing the cooking. Let me explain something to you motherfuckers. It's absolutely, you know, natural and scientific that a mother is going to gain weight when you cook, especially when you cook meat. This is old science. This is how you do the experiment. Is you take the insulin levels of people and then you put them in a room and you put them, actually, it helps to put them at the task of cooking meat. You can do it just by having people smell the exhaust fumes off of a burger joint. But if you're actually cooking meat, your insulin levels rise to the point to where you have got to have some of that, something to eat. So women need to, and have to, are biologically designed to gain weight to produce the body fat, which turns into milk. My mother used to say, I'm going too long here, it turned out to be true. My oldest brother actually stayed on the tit for 3 years, which in some ways my mom didn't mind because he was literally sucking all the fat out of her body and returning her figure to her youthful figure, her pre-marriage figure. But, you know, somebody has to provide that. Please, in those days, you know, there was no baby formula. If you went dry, you had to rely upon a wet nurse, or you had to feed your child cow's milk. Simple as that. And cow's milk's never as good as mother's milk. But so I'm at 17 minutes. I'm trying to have a little sympathy for the devil here again. Curtis, why a man? Oh shit. I lost control of the cigarette butt there. I try to keep my. But then again, doesn't he in reality have a personality disorder? Isn't he actually a dick who wouldn't allow me to be Jewish while he was overriding me with his Christian bullshit? You know, I mean, really, who is at fault for his loneliness? Is it because people are unfriendly, or is it for the fact that he's a fucking dick and nobody wants to be around him, especially me? It only took me about 5 days of, you know, spending part of the day with him to realize that under no circumstances am I getting close to living in or near his home, nor wanting to spend a lot of time with him and stuff, because Curtis Wyman, you're a dick. You show really no class. You know, your wife bore you 2 children, and you expect her to be some hottie. At least I never actually saw the woman. And yeah, he calls her the fat blonde or whatever, and you know, you're no peach. You know, if you're pretty much alone on Christmas, that's tough shit. I was a Jew alone on Hanukkah, unless I went to a place and I had to endure, to remind y'all, the guy who was driving me to the menorah lighting in downtown Pflugerville was listening to Spanish communist radio. I speak Spanish. And at the same time, he kept lowering. It was really frosty. When I first got in, he had lowered the window to let some of the smell out, and he was trying to blast me with ice cold air. And I was looking up at the window at him, at the rearview mirror, like, roll the fucking window up, motherfucker, I'm freezing. And as soon as he'd do that, I swear to God, he would move his bowels on himself again. That's frequently a sign that they're not just eating bad foods, it's that they're a punk there. And oh my God, the stench was horrific. And he stopped 2 blocks short of the designated area that I gave to Uber. Uber, I'm pretty sure, didn't pay him. I didn't give him a nickel. And I cited him for both the stench in the car and the fact that he stopped and made an old cripple walk 2 blocks more than I had to. So maybe this Christmas season, if you're all alone and you have the loneliness gene, which I don't, maybe you ought to ask yourself, is it because the whole world's a bunch of dinks? Or is it because you're a dink, Curtis Wyman? Think about it. How many people want to come to your house willingly, Curtis, without you like giving them a $200, $300 bottle of cognac or something as an enticement to come over? Or where you have to join and latch onto, and vampirize another family or something. One of your team members or somebody else or a neighbor who knows that your house had 16 bullets put in it. So I guess actually my sympathy for Curtis Wyman's loneliness gene is limited by the fact that he's a fucking dick. Okay? I'm out of here. I'm not ready for a second cup of coffee yet. I'm content this morning. Last night, actually, I got in, I think the bananas triggered me. I actually ate more cheese and beef. And that's one of the reasons I'm feeling well this morning is yesterday I at least got in around 2,500 calories, which is still a couple hundred calories short of the Texas minimum of 2,740 or 2,750 calories. So at least I'm starting to get in enough food, and I want to thank my subscriber who stopped by yesterday and guaranteed that I would, and I'm going to add on to that, I finally found a sweet, which is sweetened condensed milk. And just one of those little cans, I can get 1,200 calories. And I have no trouble polishing them off. I still got a sweet tooth. Anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful day. And everything. Actually, I can see the sun. Uh-oh, the cops are writing somebody a little ticket over there. I could see the sun better 20 minutes ago. When it first popped through, it's hiding behind a cloud now. Anyway, wish me luck, and even better, pray that I could really use a joint today. Seriously. I'm not going to pay for it, but I'm hoping somebody comes bopping along with a joint or something, because I really could use the elevation in mood. I need to feel that blissful feeling for a while and stuff. Anyway, sorry if I talked too long, but this has been the morning report for Wednesday, December 20th. Is it really only Wednesday? I got to wait 2 more days before I get to sleep in all the way till 8 o'clock in the morning. But it's a lovely day. I'm not suffering from wind and chill temperatures, and this is more like our normal winter. I really miss the Texas winters and Christmases where we wore Hawaiian shirts and shorts and stuff, because it was oh yeah, wait, I'm sorry, that's supposed to be happening now, global warming and all that shit. Funny, it was warmer and drier during the time frame in which I was born. If you want to look back at Texas history, I was born in the middle of one of the worst droughts in Texas history. Later, folks. And I really, for those of you who are Christians and stuff, I hope you enjoy and have a functional, like, family reunion, if that's possible at all. I do not envy people who have family. I've had family, and they pretty much all turn into dinks, but I've seen a lot of families that are actually functional, fun-loving people to be around. And the common denominator is they're usually not in the family business where they don't have to maintain some kind of front where they have to pretend to like each other. You know, I kind of prefer the families that are more honest and shit. You know, not everybody's going to get along in a family, as is evidenced right now on this planet. I don't know why the Ishmaelites are so jealous of us Israelites. Yes, I do. They've never accomplished anything. Barely keep the sand out of the crack of their ass. Later, everybody.